Welcome friends to another video on the tips and tricks how to write university summative exams for dental students. This is your Professor Rooban Thavarajah, and today's we will take it up on knowing your answer sheet and the online evaluation process. The example that is used here is the Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR Medical University Chennai's answer sheet and the process. Whatever I was able to salvage for no in-depth from our university exam process, as well as from those freely available on the internet from the university website. This is your typical university answer sheet that you see, where there will be space for the first evaluation, second evaluation, and some spaces to be filled by the candidates. This is where you have to fill in the spaces, the page numbers for the first section. Question 1, 2, there will be your essays. The second sessions will be your short notes 1 to 10. The rest is not for you. And usually now the name of the exam, the subject, candidate's name, everything is filled, pre-filled. And all you need is to, the register number is filled, pre-filled. All you need is to ensure that you place your signature and ensure that the chief superintendent space. If there is a section, for example, in your physiology, biochem, or microbiology, pathology, you have to ensure that the correct section you answer. Remember, if you change, you will be awarded, you can be awarded 0 at the discretion of the university, and your chief superintendent may be fined heavily as of the day. So ensure you correctly answer in the appropriate sections. Now, as far as I know, this is printed and given, ensure that it is correct. And you are given about 64 pages like this with few lines, right? The instruction to examiner, to the chief superintendent, and the candidate are there. It is for you to read and spend time reading it for the first time, right? Ensure that the register number are printed correctly on the code, right? And don't write anywhere the name. Okay, verify every part, including the question paper code. Okay, right, use both sides for writing the question paper. No additional sheets will be given. You'll be given only 64 sheets or papers to write, or pages to write your answers. Okay, and avoid any malpractices, and always, as per the university instruction, write the answers according to the order in the question paper. If not, it will be taken to task. Okay, and write the page number in the first page, what we have taught. Okay, this space. So better be very careful about it. And remember, for the evaluations, evaluators or examiners often look around slowly, steadily for anything that is interesting or even remotely resembling answer or as given in the key. Examiners have a key that they are duty bound to follow. So we try as examiners to give you more marks rather than penalize you. All right. And on-screen evaluation, a trend followed now from 2018 session onwards by the university, is different from your traditional pen paper exams. Here what happens is the mark sheets, the student finish the exams, okay, and examiner database is creation, student database is created. Okay, the student examination form is done on the system. Question paper delivery is done through the computers, and student attends the exams, and college or the center collates all the answer sheets sent to the university, where scanning of the answer sheet is done, and remotely by the system to the evaluators, answer sheet are mailed or given access. And on-screen marking or evaluation simply means the examiner sits remotely or in the university premises, uses the computer screen to evaluate and give the marks. And after all this, the mark processing and result generation, mark sheet generation is done, given by the university. And all these are stored in the server in the university. And via the internet, it is connected to the university administration, to the affiliated college, to the evaluators, either at home or at the university. Right? This is what briefly is on-screen evaluation is about. Okay, in each of the papers, the candidate identity is masked and replaced by barcodes, which I remember you can remember seeing in the paper. The barcodes, see everywhere the barcodes are there. So it is important that you write within the margins which are scannable, right? Only the margins are scanned and the barcodes are visible always. Don't overwrite over that. And the scanned copies of answer sheets are uploaded, and questions and marking part are defined to the evaluators. Once the evaluation done, immediately, almost immediately, the results can be published, and the entire activity of the logs of the evaluators, of the scanners, everything is there on the online, or this is a server perpetually till the university destroys it. The traditional paper, the university receives all the papers, put a dummy numbering, pass it on to the evaluators. All lot of complexities are there. Logistical activities is hefty, but whereas in on-screen evaluation, all these are negated through the software. So what is the difference between screen and paper evaluations? It has to do more of with the examiner's attitude towards the computer screen than the actual reading experience. Traditional paper gives a sense of well-being, a spatio-temporal markers experience, because we as examiners have been trained in that. The touching the paper, turning the pages, seeing it, feeling helps more to kindle our memory, thereby giving more marks. Whereas the screen makes remembering process, the retrieval memory process, a little bit difficult, because we are not very much trained in that. We are not born with screens. Probably 20 years from now, things would be different. The problem with screen reading, the answers is more of psychological rather than the actual physiological process. But still, it makes a big difference in terms of the impression felt by the examiners. So how do our brains as examiners respond differently to on-screen text than to words on paper? There are significant differences as shown in different researches, especially in the way the screen and paper are read. Because the reading speed or comprehension from the screen is different from that in paper. We love books and papers rather than reading it on screen. Whereas the millennials are more comfortable with screens than with books. It is more to do with the state of mind, as we are less conducive to screen than papers. And we don't have or experience the physicality of touching the paper, feeling it, grading it in actual. In paper, we have two clearly defined domains, the right side, left side pages, where 8 corners are there. We orient oneself and the entire answer is in our field of vision, unless in the screen where we have to search. This clearly defined domains in the paper, subconsciously makes us to feel secure and safe, thereby more comfortable. Within the margins in the paper, examiner can focus on a single page in entirety without losing of the sight of the whole text, hence more comprehensive. We understand what the student leads to it, unless like in a screen where it is a little bit difficult. We know where the answer begins, proceed and ends, how the overall appearance is much more better in paper rather than in screen. And always the page margins have a more significant impression on us. The screen interferes with our intuitive, learned behavior of navigation of text, movement of reading, and inhibits the examiner from mapping the journey in their minds. So it has to do, influences the mind. So when this more complex process happens, the comfortable levels goes down. So it is duty as a student to keep us, the examiners, in a more comfortable zone. The paper and the screens particularly alters the serendipity and sense of control over the paper. So as students, if we give back the sense of control, we are more comfortable. Once we are more comfortable, we as examiners are forced subconsciously to give you more marks. The lack of tactile experiences and contextual cueing will add more to the woes in the screen. We love paper. So understanding reading, how the brain interprets the written language in paper and screen. Reading from paper is more of a cerebral activity, whereas seeing is not. Reading is different from seeing on a screen. The reading is concerned with the abstract, with thoughts and ideas, tones, themes, metaphors, motifs, whatever you write, whatever you draw, and relate it to our own learned behaviors. To our brain, text in paper is a noticeable part of physical world that we inhabit. And it is more of a physical object, whereas in screen, it is just a visualization. We as examiners and of 30 plus age are not born with brain circuits for reading on the screen, rather on papers. We have developed the skill to read from paper, and substituting to screen is a little bit challenging and difficult. While reading from a paper, our brain constructs a mental representation of the entire text, compare it with the books or the key, and deciphers it. So it is easy for us because we have learned in paper and related to our previous experience, compared, and based on the comparison and the similarities, we tend to give you marks. This is a classic. According to a research at Dash University, it doesn't matter in what orders the letters are. Only important things is that the first and letters be at the right place. The rest can be a total mess and you can still read it without a problem. This is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole. Important. I am highlighted the word research. Spelling is different, but most of you would have read it carefully. The other word that had spelling mistake is here. So all this we miss it because reading is different in screen. Can you read this? I'm giving a time. Yes. Yes, this is a psychological challenge. Brain just don't rely on what they see. They also rely on what we expect to see. As examiners, we expect answers. So we don't just see the screen, but what we expect to see is also visualized. To clarify it, if you can read this, you have a strange mind too. Can you read this? I could not believe that I could actually understand what I am reading. The phenomenal power of the human mind, according to your research at Cambridge University, it doesn't matter, and so on. This is called as hypoglycemia. And you can use this to your advantage in your exams to get more marks, all within the legality of the systems because we are using a screen. Okay. So as I used to say, the illiterate of this century will not be those who read and write, who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn correct things. Stay connected for tips for effective presentation in university summative exams for dental subjects in particular, and follow this channel for more